In 1974, behind the Iron Curtain, a professor built an object with 43 quintillion possible combinations. He scrambled it, and then he could not solve it. When he finally did, the state did not see a toy. They saw a strategic asset. The government seized the patent, refusing to let it cross the border. That object was a block of wood and paper. Today, we call it the Rubik's Cube. This was in 1974. But the story of the cube begins a few years earlier, with a problem of geometry. See Budapest, the Academy of Applied Arts and Crafts, 1974. Erno Rubik is a professor of architecture. He has a problem. His students cannot understand three-dimensional geometry. They look at flat drawings on a chalkboard, but they cannot grasp how parts move in space. He wants to build a model, a physical object where independent parts can rotate without breaking apart. He starts with rubber bands and blocks of wood. The rubber bands snap. The wood splinters. He realizes the answer is not on the outside. It is on the inside. He carves a central core, a cross-shaped piece. He designs small cubes, cubies, that interlock with the core using hidden grooves. It is a masterpiece of mechanical engineering. The pieces hold themselves together by their own geometry. No glue, no magnets, no wires. Just pure, interlocking architecture. He does not know the word algorithm. He builds one anyway. He applies colored paper to the outer faces. 9 stickers per side. 6 colors: white, yellow, red, orange, blue, green. He twists it. It moves smoothly. The colors scramble. And then the room goes quiet. He has just created an object with 43 quintillion possible combinations. 43 quintillion. That is a number so large that if you had that many cubes, they would cover the Earth hundreds of times over. He stares at the scrambled block. He realizes he cannot return it to its original state. The inventor cannot solve his own invention. He calls it the magic cube, but the magic is entirely mechanical. The genius lies in the tolerance. The space between each cubie must be precise. Too tight, and it will not turn. Too loose, and it falls apart. He files the wood down by hand, feeling the friction, adjusting the balance. It is a process of pure trial and error, a process of touch. He eventually gets the prototype to a state where it moves like liquid. You turn one face, and the other faces stay locked in place. The internal mechanism is so elegant that it feels like a living thing. It feels like it should have existed for centuries, but it has not. It is brand new, and it is entirely his. He sits in his bedroom. He turns the faces. He maps the movements. He tries to track the pieces. It takes him a full month of relentless twisting and thinking before the colors finally align again. When he solves it, he knows he has created something dangerous. Something that demands attention. But he also knows he is in Hungary, a country behind the Iron Curtain. A place where individuals do not own their ideas. The state does. The clock was already ticking. 1975, the Soviet bloc. Rubik files a patent. But in a communist state, the concept of individual intellectual property is a capitalist illusion. The patent is granted, but the rights are immediately absorbed by the state. The government now owns the magic cube. They see it not as a toy, but as a product, a potential source of revenue. They hand manufacturing rights to Polytechnica, a state-owned plastics company. In 1977, the first cubes hit the market in Budapest. They are heavy. They are made of cheap plastic. They do not turn very well, but it does not matter. The city goes insane. It is an instant mania. The cubes sell out immediately. Lines form around city blocks. Coffee shops are full of people staring at 6 colors, ignoring their drinks, twisting plastic in silence. The state watches, stunned. They have a hit. But they also have a problem. They have a product that the West wants. The West has dollars. Hungary needs dollars. The government decides to treat the cube as a strategic state asset. They tighten their grip. They refuse to license it internationally without massive upfront royalties. They treat the plastic toy like a piece of military hardware. They hoard the patent. They monitor the production lines. They do not let any foreign businessmen near the factories. This decision seemed small at the time. It was not. By hoarding the cube, the Hungarian government accidentally triggered a crisis. They thought they were protecting a valuable asset. They were actually suffocating a global phenomenon. They had no idea how to market it to the capitalist world. They did not understand the toy industry. They did not understand consumer demand. They only understood control. And control was about to slip through their fingers. They needed someone who could bypass the system. They needed a smuggler. 1979, Nuremberg, West Germany. The International Toy Fair. A sprawling marketplace of capitalism. A place where executives hunt for the next big plastic hit, the next hula hoop, the next frisbee. Enter Tibor Lazzi. He is a Hungarian expatriate, a businessman with a sharp eye and a fluent understanding of both sides of the Iron Curtain. He knows the state will not let the cube out, so he brings it himself. He walks the floor of the fair, carrying a single cube in his pocket. He is not an official delegate. He is a rogue operator. He walks up to the booth of Tom Kremer. Kremer is a toy inventor and a marketer. He understands the psychology of play. Lazzi does not say much. He just pulls the cube from his pocket and places it on the table. Kremer picks it up. He twists it. He is immediately mesmerized. He spends the next hour playing with it, ignoring the rest of the fair. He does not see a Hungarian state asset. He sees a global obsession. He sees millions of hands twisting, millions of minds churning. He tries to buy the rights, but the Hungarian government throws up walls. They demand impossible terms. They want total control over manufacturing. They want to audit the sales. They do not trust the Western capitalists. They think the toy companies are trying to steal from them. They are terrified of losing control. That did not last. Kremer and Lazzi decide to bypass the bureaucracy entirely. Kremer takes the cube and flies to the United States. He walks into the offices of the Ideal Toy Company. The Americans see the math. They see the colors. They feel the addictive pull. They want it immediately. But first, they have to break the Hungarian government chokehold. And the communists are not going to make it easy. The negotiations are a bureaucratic nightmare. The Hungarian government insists on dictating every term. They want to control the supply chain. They send delegates to New York, but they are paranoid. They view the toy executives as capitalist spies. They treat the contract negotiations like a Cold War summit. The state also has a massive problem with the name. The Magic Cube. The word magic implies the occult, the supernatural, something beyond the rational materialism of the state. The atheist government hates it. They demand a name change. Ideal Toy agrees. They decide to call it the Rubik's Cube, honoring the inventor. It is a brilliant marketing move, and it appeases the state. But the government paranoia does not stop there. They delay the international patent filing. They argue over trivial clauses. They insist on reviewing the marketing materials. They think they are protecting Hungarian intellectual property. In reality, they are opening the door to pirates. By delaying the patent, they create a legal vacuum. A window where the cube has no protection in the West. Counterfeiters in Asia, in Europe, in America see the opportunity. They start molding their own cubes. They ignore the Hungarian patent. The state greed and paranoia create a massive black market. And here is where the history gets dark. The communist government, so obsessed with hoarding the cube, accidentally creates a wave of intellectual property theft that they cannot stop. Millions of fake, poorly made cubes flood the global market. The state loses hundreds of millions of dollars in royalties. Their own bureaucratic terror defeats them. They tried to play the capitalist game with a Soviet rulebook. It was a disaster, but the real disaster was yet to come. The cube was about to break free, and no government, no patent, no wall could contain it. 1980. The Ideal Toy Company launches the Rubik's Cube globally. The Iron Curtain fails to hold back the plastic. The cube hits the shelves in America, Europe, Asia. It is an explosion, a cultural supernova. The world is looking for a distraction. A recession is looming. The Cold War is escalating. And then a small plastic block offers an escape. By 1981, over 100 million official cubes are sold. It wins Toy of the Year twice. It appears on every television show. It is in every classroom, every office, every living room. People lose their minds. Mathematicians publish books on how to solve it. Algorithms are printed in newspapers. Children memorize the sequences, their fingers moving faster than their parents can follow. The state monopoly is completely shattered. Erna Rubik, the quiet professor, becomes the first self-made millionaire from the communist bloc. The government that tried to hoard his invention watches the money flow to the West. They get a fraction of what they could have had. The counterfeiting industry explodes. In Taiwan, in Hong Kong, factories run 24 hours a day, pumping out cheap knockoffs. They flood the market. Ideal Toy tries to sue, but the legal system is overwhelmed. The Hungarian government tries to intervene, but they have no jurisdiction in the West. They watch helplessly as their prized state asset is stolen 1,000,000 times over. The lesson is brutal. Innovation cannot be contained by bureaucracy. The cube is a virus of the mind. Once released, it replicates endlessly. It mutates. It evolves. The state thought they owned it. They were wrong. The world owned it now. The true turning point is not just the money. It is the psychological shift. The cube proves that a single human mind, working alone in a room in Budapest, can create something that outsmarts an entire government. The state tried to control information. The cube is the ultimate information processor. It teaches an entire generation that complex problems have logical solutions. You look at the chaos. You find the pattern. You execute the algorithm. The cube becomes a symbol of intellectual freedom. A quiet rebellion. The Hungarian government tried to hide it, tried to hoard it, tried to control it. And in doing so, they guaranteed that it would conquer the world. If you are finding this story interesting, subscribe to the channel. Here at Common Lore, we tell stories like this every week, and you will not want to miss what comes next. The cube sparks a mathematical renaissance. Computer scientists use the cube to test algorithms. They ask a simple question. What is the minimum number of moves needed to solve any scrambled cube? They call it God's number. For 30 years they calculate. They build supercomputers. They map the 43 quintillion combinations. It is a problem of staggering complexity. A problem that seems impossible for a human mind to grasp. But in 2010, a team of programmers finally cracks it. They prove that God's number is 20. Any cube, no matter how scrambled, can be solved in 20 moves or less. The cube becomes a benchmark for artificial intelligence. It teaches machines how to learn, how to optimize, how to find the shortest path through chaos. It teaches humans how to think in 3 dimensions. The cube influence bleeds into pop culture. It appears in movies, a symbol of intelligence and alienation. It becomes a shorthand for genius. But its real legacy is in the classrooms. Teachers use it to explain group theory, a branch of abstract mathematics that was once reserved for university elites is now being taught to children with a plastic toy. The cube democratizes mathematics. It makes the abstract tangible. It makes the impossible feel achievable. And it all started because one man wanted to explain geometry to his students. It becomes a crack in the Iron Curtain. The cube shows the Soviet bloc that they cannot compete with the West on innovation. They can hoard a patent, but they cannot hoard the human mind. The cube is a symbol of logic, and logic is the enemy of totalitarianism. It is the enemy of control. The Hungarian government tried to hide it. They tried to keep it a state secret. The cube ended up teaching the world that complex problems can be solved. One twist at a time. It traveled from a bedroom in Budapest to the halls of MIT. It traveled from a state-owned factory to the hands of millions. It is a monument to the power of a single idea. And the idea is simple. Chaos can be ordered. Today, the cube is everywhere. Over 500 million have been sold worldwide. It is the best-selling puzzle of all time. But that is just the beginning. The cube has evolved. It is no longer just a toy. It is a sport. Speed cubing. Competitions are held in massive arenas. Teenagers from around the globe gather to twist plastic at lightning speed. The current world record is 3.47 seconds. 3.47 seconds. A human being looks at a scrambled cube, drops a barrier, and solves it in less time than it takes to read this sentence. The cubes they use are engineering marvels, magnetic cores, frictionless plastic, tension adjustable to the milligram. They are custom built for speed, for fluidity, for the absolute elimination of resistance. The speed cubing community is a subculture unto itself. They speak in algorithms. They practice for thousands of hours. They break down the cube into hundreds of micro-movements, committing each sequence to muscle memory. They do not think about the colors anymore. They just see the patterns. Their hands move independently of their minds. It is a state of flow, a state of pure mechanical meditation. The cube has become a tool for mental discipline. Therapists use it to treat anxiety. Prisons use it to calm inmates. It is no longer just a puzzle. It is a coping mechanism, a focus tool, a way to channel the chaos of the world into a small, six-sided block of order. And this is the part that catches people by surprise. The cube is now used in robotics. Engineers build robotic hands that solve the cube in under 1 second. The machines use sensors to map the colors. They use algorithms to calculate the solution. And they execute the moves with mechanical precision. The algorithms used to solve the cube are applied to logistics, to cryptography, to protein folding. The puzzle that a professor built to teach geometry is now teaching machines how to solve the most complex problems in the universe. It is a bridge between human logic and artificial intelligence. A small block of plastic that holds the secrets of the universe. The Hungarian government thought it was a state secret. They were wrong. It was a key. In 1974, a man sat alone in a room in Budapest. He held a block of wood and paper. He twisted it. He scrambled it. And he could not put it back. He did not know it yet, but he had just created a monster. A monster that would outsmart a government, cross the Iron Curtain, and conquer the world. It was ignored. It was hoarded. It was smuggled. It became an obsession. It is on your desk right now. A six-sided block of plastic. 43 quintillion combinations. One solution. It is a reminder that the most powerful ideas are often the simplest, and that no government, no wall, no Iron Curtain can keep a good idea from the world. If this story surprised you, subscribe to Common Lore and tell us in the comments which part of the Rubik's Cube history surprised you the most. And leave your like so more people can find this video.